And hello once again, boys and girls, children of all ages, to another Reality Scoot Gamers review. And we are reviewing Ahsoka, the series, episode 4. And oh my sweet baby Jesus. Woo! Man, I got to tell you guys, look at everybody's initial reactions, but I was just one of the best Star Wars actual and all the series, best individual show I've watched in a while. It had everything I could have hoped for. Small little criticisms, we'll get into that, but I mean the story, the acting, the fights. Oh my god, it was incredible. The reveals, everything was fantastic. I was giddy. I was just giddy watching this, and especially the ending, which we'll get to. But that's my initial thoughts, and I know the internet's going crazy. Soka was trending last night on Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. It's Twitter. God damn it.
It changed names.
Yeah, it's called X now, but everyone still calls it Twitter. It's like
It's weird.
it's my own. So, um, Kate, your initial reaction?
I pretty much the same as yours. It had like everything in it. There was
Yeah,
just so much going on. I'm like trying to think. I'm like, wow, what was my favorite part? I'm like, I don't know. There was so much.
yeah,
And it's not even like the big main parts. It's also the small little details
yes,
that were in there that like for people who have watched like from Rebels and like just all of it in general, there's so many like little details they throw in there. So yeah.
it's good. It's really good. All right, let's go to Thanos Kyrellus, the fourth Akagi wannabe.
Um, I'm not as high on it as you guys are, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. There's a lot, especially towards the end, that I
Get out!
really, really enjoyed.
You get the hell out of here! No, that's fine. Uh,
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot. I had yeah, not as high as you guys are, but yeah, definitely enjoyed it.
Incredible. All right, so let's get into it.
Where do you even
Where do we
start?
start?
Why don't we just start beginning of the episode to the end?
Okay, so it started the episode. We left off where we were from episode 3. They're on the planet. You see Ahsoka and Yang trying to get the comms up. And we know that Balen had sent the mercenaries after them. We have a conversation, and I really like some of the conversations that was in here more in depth. We got to see Sabine and Ahsoka interact a little bit more. I thought it was a little bit more emotional because that's been one of the complaints. So I thought there was a lot of emotion there, and it really sets up this whole goddamn show because Ahsoka, no, she's like, Sabine, can I trust you? And she's like, of course you can trust me. Got this. I got this. Like, you do realize we have got to destroy this map. Before it was, and I get where Ahsoka's come from. Before, if we had a chance to go get Ezra, great. But there's a bigger threat, and his name's Thrawn. We cannot allow that to happen. I mean, I can tell you looking at Ahsoka the way she's looking at Sabine, like, I can feel the conflict in you. And Sabine's playing it off like, yeah, I got this, and she didn't have it.
No.
She's
We
playing
all
it off.
know Thrawn is coming.
Yeah. But
It's
it was
just
good to see that, and I heard some complaints about Sabine, like, oh, she gave up too easily. No, she didn't. If you now, for the casual fan, I can see why you might say that at the end, and we'll get to why we're saying that this comment was made. But if you've watched the show and you see that relationship, we talked about it last week with Sabine and Ezra, that have been through everything together. The minimum, they're friends, right? They could be more, but for right now, they're friends and a deep emotional connection. And that whole group has a big connection. Ahsoka's a little bit more of the outside, but Hera, Zeb, Kanan, Ezra,
well, yeah, it's
they're
all a Phoenix
that was
Squadron.
the whole Phoenix Squadron.
Yeah.
Ahsoka would come in from time to time, so she's more of an outsider, but she was part of that crew and had more to deal with Ezra and Kanan than she did Sabine. And there's still some stuff we got to learn from their relationship because there was some stuff mentioned in here. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
really? Is that what happened to your family? Okay, we might need to cover that in a flashback or something. The Day of a Thousand Tears. That might be interesting. Um, but yeah, so it sets it up, and then it goes from there. Then we have our initial fight. I love seeing Sabine and Ahsoka working together as a team. First, we got to see Yang fight. That was brilliant.
Oh,
I
that was
love
so
that so
amazing.
much. Fighting, taking his own. He knows in trouble. Then here, it's like that's great. They do that, and then they go off. And great line from Yang's like, stick together. You guys always work better when you stick together. So that's the initial part. The initial part, I liked a lot of the setup, the conversations, the interaction, Yang, the fights. I thought it was, I mean, Ahsoka was murking folks. She took one guy who was firing, is blocking, and moved him in the way and used him as a human shield.
Yeah.
I was like, that is, and I got to tell you, the fight choreography. Now, I'm a martial artist, practiced it for many, many years, in Japanese martial arts. A lot of the movement in this one and a lot of the sword fight and a mixture of some other techniques, but and other styles from Europe and stuff. But there was a lot of the stances, the way they held the sword, the lightsabers, and moved it. Some of it was a callback to scenes from like Revenge of the Sith, like with Anakin and Ahsoka. But other stuff was more, these stances. Very, very well choreographed and very well shot. I thought the lightsaber scenes were extraordinary. But that's just I'm getting crazy here. The opening stuff. What'd you like? What you didn't like?
Yeah, no, the opening was great. So, like you said, right, they did a really good job at setting up the tone of this episode. Like, I feel like this episode, from beginning to end, did a really good job, setting up and foreshadowing itself. Like, so, not in a bad way, but it's like you could, like, if the story, like, you could see where this is gonna go. Again, not in a bad way, but it's like they did such a good job at setting everything up that you're like, because it's not just Ahsoka saying like, "Can I trust you?" It's also Sabine like, "Are you sure I can trust you?" Because she, later on when we find, like you pointed out about her family, like it's implied that like she almost holds Ahsoka responsible for that. We might have had an Anakin Obi moment where like she, Anakin wanted her to go see his mom and stuff because he was having nightmares, and Obi-Wan wouldn't allow it, kind of a thing. So, like the mistrust goes both ways, right? So that's why, like, when we get to the end, I think that was the most powerful scene of the entire show, at least thus far, because of everything that was set up right now. Like the beginning and the end were absolute highlights of the episode. I really liked that, the actress of Sabine is doing a really, really, really good job, because you can see the conflict within her without a lot of dialogue, and that's very true to the character from Rebels. Because even in Rebels, it's like you always saw her kind of like, she wouldn't say much, but you would see these lingering looks and stuff, and the actress is capturing that really, really well. I think that even more so than in the animated series, because you could see the conflict, the hurt, the everything that's going on within her, early on. Because like again, right, like I said, the mistrust goes both ways. So when the droid says like, "Stay together," it's almost like he's not telling one or the other, he's telling both of them, like, "Hey, you guys need each other." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna stick together," right? And then the other one's like, "Yeah, we're gonna stick together." And then you're just kind of like, "Yeah, they're not gonna stick together."
Well, it's mentioned. I think Sabine, from when that statement was made that Balen will get into his stuff, because Ray Stevenson has just been extraordinary. I took that to mean I don't think Sabine holds Ahsoka responsible for what happened to her family. I think she's upset with her because she wasn't there for her when she needed her to. The Empire did it, but she was like, "I needed you then, and you weren't available," kind of thing. Not that you were the cause of that or thing. So
right.
That's
And
how
that's
I
what I mean
took
as
it.
well.
yeah, that's why I took it.
That's what I mean as well.
Yeah. So, Kate, opening.
Like maybe like
go ahead,
she couldn't have prevented like she. I don't think she thinks that, "Oh, you could have prevented what happened to Mandalore, but maybe you could have helped me save my family." Kind of
yeah,
thing,
maybe something along those lines. I mean, she is Ahsoka, for God's sakes. All right, Kate, opening stuff. Any thoughts? What you
I mean, I
liked?
thought it was all great. Amazing sequence with the fighting, Yang with the HK
So
assassin
good.
droid. Oh, that was so funny and so awesome to see. And then the only thing I was a little bit disappointed about was how easily the Inquisitor Marrock went down.
Well, he didn't go down easy. He was holding his own with Ahsoka, but they did that final move. It was really reminiscent to me. I don't know how you guys felt, but of that move, like, because she kind of held her sword a certain way, and he's doing the spinning thing like Maul was doing,
Yeah.
and whoom, got
Yeah, it
him.
was an homage to that
Kind of
moment.
felt
to
like
the
that.
Obi
Like it
Maul
was one of
stuff.
those.
No,
It was
I
like
get
one of
it. It
those
was just
samurai
quick.
movies.
It was just quick.
Hey,
That
real
was.
life sword fighting, Kate.
I know.
That's how it's
I know.
supposed to go.
I know. I'm just saying, it was just quick for Star Wars. But
That's what
I
Kate would do.
also.
She'd like, Ranger, look at that, huh? Oh,
I
and then
think it
stuff
felt
would
that
come
way.
out of me. Stuff would come out of me. Like he did. I'm part night sister. But no,
I
no, it's
think
okay. I mean,
But then I also
go
like I
ahead.
was like super excited to see like when Sabine actually had all her armor
I
on.
know,
Like
look
you see
great.
the Phoenix
yeah.
Squadron logo. Like I was like, oh, it's so cool. Even though you saw that in the previous episode, but it's the first time you're really seeing her put
With
on
the
all
helmet.
of
Oh
her
my
armor,
god,
seeing
yes.
her use her blasters. I got like really excited. I was like, she's using her blasters again. She's wasn't at that point trying to use the lightsaber. So I just was like, oh, this is like old Sabine. Really nice to see.
Yeah, and she fought like old Sabine. I love two things. One, I love that Marek was not Ezra. He wasn't Star Killer. He was nothing. He was just
He just
something.
poofed.
He was what the night, and we've seen this before in a lot of the shows, whether with Savage or some of the, Maul. The Night Sisters have the ability and the force of their magic
Mhm.
to use zombies for one. We've seen that, and two, resurrect and give power to certain individuals. So the fact that Marek, as soon as I saw it happen, like Night Sister, brother,
I
there it is.
really hope we get to see more like Night Sister powers because I've always
Oh my
found them
god,
just really intriguing.
yeah, it really is
And that's
treating.
all. And that's all I was gonna say. I think that the reason that it might have felt like it ended a little quickly is because, like, we as a fan base, like, we're building him up to be more than he was. Even I think last week I also said, like, I don't think that he's anything to focus on, so I don't have too many theories on him. But I think that might have been added to it because I know like some fans were like really building him up to be like this really important character, and I'm just like, I don't know, like we don't have that many
No.
I
episodes
didn't really
to.
think he was. I mean, I
The
saw
main characters are going to be what's his name, Balen, and
Shin.
what was it,
Shin.
Shin?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be the two of the main characters. The other one's
I think they're going down
Morgan,
here
right?
soon. I'm not gonna
The
lie.
I
Night
don't know.
Sister. But then you're bringing in Thrawn, so it's like, are you going to keep Balen and Shin?
I hope so
That's
because
what I'm
they're
saying.
phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they're gonna do because so let's before we get to that, we get a scene with Hera and Jason, which was really
Yeah.
cool. We saw the ghost for the first time in all its glory.
I freaked out. I was like, oh
You
my
know,
god, it's Ghost.
yeah, I was like, they're not going to show the ghost. They're showing the ghost. Oh my god!
They
And I
look
love the interactions.
the ships look so tiny, like Ghost and Phantom. They just look so small.
It's just so good, man. It brought back the memories. And for casuals, they may not know who what that ship represents, and I get it, but it was a cool scene, and I like the interaction between Jason and his mom. Like, talk about like, if when you become a general, then you can,
Uh-huh.
how come
Well,
people don't
also
you don't have to listen to people, but I have to listen to you? Well, when you become a general, such a
the
bold
cool
thing to
thing with
say.
also, I don't know if you guys picked up on it. It was a little bit later in the episode, but Jason, obviously he goes, just I have a bad feeling
Yes.
about this.
He's force
Implying
sensitive.
he's force sensitive.
Like a mug. And what did he pick up on? What happens to Ahsoka, right? And by the way, can I call it? We nailed it. What did we say was going to happen with Hayden Christensen as Anakin? Force ghost. Well, we don't know if he's a force
Well,
ghost or
they're in the
whatever.
world between worlds.
So yeah, we don't know what he is yet, but
And he's
Might be all of the
de-aged.
above.
Yeah.
He's de-aged.
but we talked about how they would do this, and we said that there was a force ghost, some kind of meeting between them was going to happen. We know that it wasn't. There might be flashbacks, and I think they did shoot some flashbacks, but I think now, as we look into a little bit of the future for next week, I think next week is just all going to be World Between Worlds. Is going to be where Anakin and Ahsoka and reliving certain moments and talking and getting it through with each other. The other thing I noticed in the deep fate, I mean, people are like, it looks like trash. I don't give a shit about that stuff. It doesn't bother me. Like when I saw Luke in, Mando in the season Mando 2, when Luke comes in and destroys all the Dark Troopers, I know it's a deep fake, but I don't care because it's just the moment for me. So that stuff doesn't really bother me. But if it bothers you, that's okay. We all have different tastes. But when he said, "Hey, Snips," I was like, "Ah!" Oh my
That's
God.
what I said too. I'm like, I mean, just in general, it's like you can give me a lot more Hayden Christensen and I'll be okay with that.
Did you notice his lightsaber?
No.
It
What
was
was
Darth Vader's
I did.
lightsaber.
Yeah.
really? I didn't pick up
Yes.
on that.
Yes.
So he's technically like
We
right before he goes into the
don't
suit.
know. It's such a weird thing, the world between worlds. We know that
Actually,
it was,
no, he had his Jedi saber when he
yeah,
when
when he
Order
fought Kenobi.
66 was
Yeah.
when Order
You and
66
you
was
wish me
called.
may
So
power.
that's
I also
Don't
think
interesting.
try
that
it, Anakin.
this is like we'll get into this later, but I think the reason he has Vader's lightsaber is because he's accept that he was Anakin and he was Vader. He's accepted both sides of himself.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I really think this is going to be what we have wanted for so long. That final and I don't mean this in a bad way, the final confrontation between Anakin and Ahsoka working out their things because Ahsoka has a lot of trauma from that. And so did
Yeah,
Anakin.
that's a lot of
Yeah.
These two, no one was closer than these two. When you think about two strangers that are like, that love each other more than anything and have been through hell in a handbasket, trust each other implicitly, brother and sister, Anakin and Ahsoka had that relationship. And then when Ahsoka left and she had I agree with her decision, the way the Jedi Council did her dirty and stuff. Anakin felt like he left her, he
Yeah.
asked to stay for him. And, and that's what led him really with other stuff, but that really started pushing him away from the Jedi Council. Like, look what you did, man. You made my snips leave, bastards. And I think that
Nips and Sky Guy, yep.
yeah. And so it's going to be really interesting, that dynamic and these conversations these two are going to have going back and forth with each other. I can't not wait till next week. But I want to shift this because then we get to the fights. We talked about Merrick. I think the Shin Sabine fight was great. I love that they didn't have Sabine able to use the Force. That fake out she did against Shin. She says, "You have no power," and she was a trick, and she used her darts to take out her lightsaber out of her hand. I was like, "Yes, that's so good." Small little attention to detail. I really loved.
For a second, I thought they were like, they're gonna make her actually be able to use it, and then she didn't. I was like, you know what? I'm actually not mad about that. I'm actually very happy.
And then so Shin gets away, but the fight scene, it was really well done. Their back and forth was really, really, really good. The one I do want to talk, Balen, man, Ray Stevenson is crushing this role. He says so few things, but he says them in such a way with such gravitas that I've just eaten everything this man says. When it's like, what's her name, looks at him and said, are you scared, or is it fear? He says, no, experience. The little one-liners he does, like, you must have faith. He's like, I lost that a long time ago. It's just, the way he says it, the way he delivers these lines. And then we get the fight between Ahsoka and Balen. She kills Mark. We talked about that. That fight, I loved it. It was so well choreographed, and you can see just two elite warriors going at it back and forth. Just, it was incredible. I loved it. I loved the conversation. Balen's like, Anakin spoke highly of you, and like, that's funny. Never mentioned you. Went with the the girlfriend boyfriend tag, and it was great. I hate this fight. I don't know what to say. It was phenomenal.
Oh, that one, yeah, that was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that fight. But then it's also, I definitely feel like Shin is a lot more dark side than Balen.
She's
I
definitely
feel like
more dark side.
Balen's kind of like not neutral, but he definitely, I think he has his own views on everything.
You know what someone said? I don't know where I saw this on one of the videos I was watching today on their reviews. I think it was Christian Harloff, or somebody said it, and they were mentioning it, that Balen is Qui-Gon, but a little bit more dark side.
Exactly.
That's how he feels. I was like, God, that is such a great way of explaining it.
That is a great, yep.
Because Balen ain't doing shit with the Jedi or Sith. He's just picking his own path. There's certain aspects. He's very honorable. He's not just some, he is definitely not a, I'm going to get him, say, kind of villain. He is very complicated and complex. I mean, he gets shit done, but he's not there to be ruthless or anything. He gives his word. He's all about honor. He doesn't want to fight Ahsoka. You can tell he doesn't want to fight, but when it comes down to throwing down, he will throw down, and he can hold. Yeah.
And how he's now like, I'll take on Sabine, and I will be there for her, and like how her master was there for her.
It's really interesting.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Thane.
the the way I had originally described him was like he feels like what early on Dark Side Dooku would be like.
Yeah,
But now that I hear you guys
good about
talk about
comparison.
it more, I don't know if you guys have ever played this game or know about this game, but it kind of reminds me of the protagonist of Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I know that game.
Nope.
yeah, because like in
Uh,
that game, just really, because in that game, like really quickly, just to kind of do my point is, you have a samurai who like begrudgingly starts using like ninja tactics, and that's kind of what like the Sith are. Like it's like the samurai versus the ninja. So he almost feels like he's this honorable Jedi Knight who like is forced to use the dark side because he sees that that's the path to getting shit done.
he feels like he's a Ronin.
Um,
But that makes sense. The mercenary
yeah,
Japanese, the samurai from the medieval period of Japanese culture. In the Edo period and stuff like that. Very much feels like that. Has his own code. Been trained by the samurai. He knows, about the samurai. He follows a lot of their codes, but he's got his own set of standards. I mean, that's what he feels like. He reminds me a lot like Jubei from Ninja Scroll, if I can make a comparison. Mercenary samurai, fantastic fighter, but does good things, but he does what he needs to do because it's what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. And he doesn't give a shit what you think. So, Kate,
What I'm
yes,
actually curious about, and if they mentioned it, that's my bad. But essentially, where was he when Order 66 was
we don't
executed?
know.
Was he a Jedi still, and he had to take this path because of Order 66?
It's interesting. Yeah, this
my
is a great question because we don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know anything
so
about
It's
his.
like, is he influenced because of Order 66
Oh,
that
of
he
course.
feels like he's on his own, he has to do his own path, kind of like Kanan was
Well, he
a
blames
little bit.
Ahsoka. And you can tell there's some resentment there because he was really going after Anakin. He was there for
Yeah.
all that, and he blames Anakin, which he should, and he's holding Ahsoka
Well,
responsible. You know,
I don't agree with the whole Ahsoka responsible, but yeah,
well,
it's
that's his
obviously
viewpoint, right?
Anakin's
Yeah,
fault. Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, because
yeah.
it was
yeah,
her
so
master.
the way
Yeah,
the way that he talks about Anakin, to me, it almost seems like he was there at the Jedi Temple during Order 66 and saw Anakin and survived that temple attack
Could be.
that would
because
make sense.
because you have to remember the wider galaxy didn't know that Anakin was Vader and stuff, even post you know original trilogy. So for him to specifically know that it was Anakin, then he must have seen him in that Jedi temple because the only other time that Anakin was like Lord Vader was like on Mustafar. Like
Yeah.
so,
There's
we know what
Well,
happened to the people on Mustafar.
wasn't there a couple people that did escape the temple?
yeah, there was quite a there.
Yeah,
So the
Yeah.
I can't remember them. On my
So that's
best
definitely
character,
it's
yeah,
definitely a plausible theory.
yeah, and there was other
so
Jedi in
that
the galaxy that escaped and eventually knew what was going on. Like Quinlan Voss, we know was still around for a
Yeah.
certain amount of time. We know, of course, um, uh, what's his name from Jedi Survivor, Cal Kestis.
Kestis.
So there were
Yeah.
a lot of Jedi that did make it out that we
Well, but
know.
one specifically
Kanan
at the temple.
at the temple. Well, yeah, we don't know if he was at the temple, but it
But if he
seems
was, it would make sense why he
I don't
knew.
know if he would have to be at the temple because I get a sense from Balen, he he's very good at knowing shit. Like he knew all about Sabine and Ezra's and stuff. Like, how did he know all that crap? It makes it seem
well,
like
he read
his
her mind. He read her feelings.
well, he read his
Yeah.
feelings, but he was starting to get into specific things. Like he could tell her feelings for Ezra, but he knew how to manipulate that feeling by giving specific things about everything that happened with her planet and her clan and this and
Well,
that. And
it's because she's not force sensitive, so she can't shield her thoughts from a force user.
well, a force user can manipulate weak minds to do certain things, but I don't know about the. He might be telepathic. I don't know, but I don't know about reading
Yeah,
like minds.
no, they can because like it's like when they evaluated Anakin, they're like, oh, his thoughts draw on his mother and stuff, and they're like, oh, see through you, we can, and even like yeah, the Jedi can sense thoughts.
I don't know. It's what it seemed
It,
like to me. Like he's got some way of knowing this stuff, you know, Because at that point, I'm like, why would she be thinking of her clan then? She's just focusing on Ezra, right?
Well, we
He's
didn't. Well, we didn't get like we led to that moment. Like, hey, how did you read that scene? That's how I read. I read that he just read
where
her thoughts.
he was reading her thoughts. He was using
Yeah.
her weakness against her. Ezra is who she cares about. Like, that is her whole plan this whole time, and she wants to go save Ezra, and he senses that and uses that to his advantage.
yeah,
It's
but
like Vader with Luke. Like, he sensed that he had a twin sister.
yeah, he did pick up on that. But like specific other things, I don't know. I think he just knows shit because he's been around the block. He's learned after. It just feels like he's one of those wise wizards that's got that warriors that just knows that information is power and knowing everything is really key before you make any actions. Because Balen doesn't. He's not the kind of guy that just does stuff without knowing everything that's going on, and he seems to know a lot of shit. So I was like, and he was using that against Ahsoka too. But it'll be interesting when we get some backstory on Balen, like what is his, how same age as maybe same age as Ahsoka. So he's probably was a Jedi Knight. He was, at least at that rank, but we don't know. He's a newer character, so we don't know his story, where he was in the Clone Wars, what happened, where was he in Order 66, who was his master. We don't know that. We just know that he's got Shin as his apprentice. And it's interesting that I think
Does anybody else think that that's his daughter?
No, I don't think it's his daughter.
She's like really, really young. Like, she's like post like Jedi Order stuff. Like, I feel like that's his daughter.
No,
possibly. I don't know yet. It's a possibility. I won't table that one. It could be a possibility. I wouldn't put it past that that's a thing, but it seems like she's like someone he found and raised and stuff like that. I don't know. It could be a thing. The Jedi.
I think if anything, she was just so she was probably too young for Order 66, right?
Yeah, she was not born at that point.
Yeah.
She looks like she's like potentially younger than Sabine.
I think
she's the same age as Sabine. Yeah, I don't think it's his daughter, but
she almost reminds me of like a Night Sister, just appearance wise.
She does have some Night Sister vibes, man. But she is definitely more darker. And her blade's darker. I noticed in this episode.
I did notice that today. I was like, hers is definitely a lot more red than his.
Yeah, because initially it was orange, and this one it was a lot more red because you can see her. She is very much into the dark side. And he's still very much bright orange, and that means he is.
Yeah.
He's
unless they're trying to portray she is falling to the dark side.
Could be. It wouldn't surprise me, but. I don't. Someone said she's going to betray him. I'm like, she would never betray him. You can tell that she's absolutely loyal. Respects him, and when he says something, So
that would be interesting, though. I'd be down for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it'll be interesting to see
but I would be down.
Yeah.
What happens when Thrawn comes into the picture?
I don't know.
Where is Balen going to fall on that spectrum? Where will Shin's loyalties fall?
Yeah,
I think it'll be interesting.
There's a lot going on here. We don't know. The next episode, I think, is going to be mainly focused on Anakin and Ahsoka because Ahsoka eventually gets knocked off the cliff by Balen. There's a lot of stuff that happens. Basically, she gets there, they have their fight. He pulls the map out of the thing, but it hurts her hand, which gave Balen pushes her to the edge of the cliff. Shin shows up, and Ahsoka thinks she's killed Sabine and just threw her like a rag doll. And it was interesting because you saw a little bit of the dark side come out of Ahsoka for a moment. She was, the rage and the anger, like, oh, you killed Sabine? Just threw her against the rock. And then Sabine showed up, and then she had that Mexican standoff, like, let her go, and he knocks her off the ledge, and then she starts shooting at him, and then he works her and gives his word that if you come with me, we'll get you to Ezra, but I need the thing. You're not going to destroy it. And so, which was set up in the beginning of the episode, which was really good. And then we get to Ahsoka in the world between worlds.
I do think like next episode though, they're gonna focus on Anakin and Ahsoka. But I think the last ending scene is gonna be Thrawn.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get Thrawn.
I don't think we're getting Thrawn until 7 and 8. I don't think he's gonna show up until the last part of it.
They're on their way to go get him. Well, I guess this one they're going to wherever he and Ezra are at, and they're going to be looking for them.
Yes. So that's where they're headed toward. And she and what's her name can feel him, and they'll eventually find him. That's not. We know. We've seen Thrawn in the.
How many episodes are there of Ahsoka? Did they say?
There's 8.
I don't think they're gonna wait till 8 to introduce Thrawn.
That could be
I
the
do.
case.
I
Yeah.
don't.
I do.
I think 8
I
they're gonna
do
show
think
you
that's
like
gonna be it.
Ezra is still alive. I think they'll show you Ezra is
That
still
could be.
alive at 8, and I think that maybe which one was this 4? Maybe like 6 they'll introduce Thrawn.
I think Ezra's going to be like the last scene of episode 8, and I think we're getting
I
Thrawn
just said that,
like at
Kane.
episode 8.
Yeah, thanks for repeating Kate's point there, thing.
No, I'm just saying that I don't think we're going to get Thrawn at 7. We're going to get Thrawn at 8.
I don't think so.
We'll see. We'll see.
The
who's-
amount of advertising they're doing for Thrawn,
Oh,
I think they're gonna at least have like 2 episodes with him in
Could
it.
be him getting back, but we know that the main conflict will be the movie that they're going to do with Filoni. He's going to direct that.
Well, we still have
movie.
season 2 of Ahsoka, right? Like they've basically confirmed we're getting a season 2 of Ahsoka. We're probably
Did
going to
they
get a
confirm
Hera
that?
show.
I don't know
Yeah.
yet. Yeah, I don't know yet. So, but we know eventually. I don't know what they're doing. I know the movie's supposed to tie, and I know Mando's supposed to have another season. I believe. I don't know. There's some funky stuff going on. Of course, with the strike going on right now, all that's up in the air. So we'll have to wait and see where all.
Oh,
this
and did you see God, what's his name? The X-Wing pilot.
Oh yeah, he was in there.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Tav? Is that
I
what
know
was his name?
you talk about the Oriental guy with the beard and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I love him.
And
I
what's
can't
his name?
remember his name.
I think his name is Alan Tudyk, the guy that played K2SO. He was one of the other X-wing pilots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he was the one guy they show. I was like, wait, huh? I caught it Prince, and I was like, no. And then someone said, yeah, that was who it was. I was like, no, okay, I thought I was squinting for a reason. Damn. So I think that's his name. I could be getting that wrong.
Tava. Carson Tava.
Carson Tava. There you go.
That was his name.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. I'm like, blanking.
Oh, it's hard. There's so many names to remember and actors to remember and stuff. Trust me. I got, I think last episode we recorded for this, I got, what's her name is not Bruce Lee's daughter. It's his goddaughter. Got that mixed up.
Yeah.
And then I would say Maddock or whatever. It's Marok. You know,
He's gone anyway. It's okay.
He's double dead. You know, so it doesn't matter.
It don't matter at this point.
Speaking of Dumbledore, did any of you guys get a sense that like that Ahsoka falling, over the cliff and then landing in the world between worlds is kind of reminiscing of Gandalf?
I didn't see it.
Like Gandalf goes like he falls down and
I'm
then
a
he like
servant
goes
of
in that like
servant
sleep.
of the secret fire. Yeah, when he fights the Balrog. Yeah.
And then
Well,
comes
know
back
the
as
flame of
Gandalf
all
the White.
no. Dark fire will
Never
not
saw
avail
it.
you, flame of Uldoon. Yeah, I remember that scene very.
Never saw it.
Yeah.
Razor's face.
So disgusted right now, Kate.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind because we talked about
Kate?
this earlier about how
Yes.
Would you please, for the love of Christ, watch Lord of the Rings and enjoy
I
the
fell
greatness?
asleep. I watched it in high school. I
Wow.
fell asleep. I think it was The Hobbit though.
No, not
Where's-
the Hobbit. That's
Ooh.
different. That's not as good. But the Fellowship of the Ring, trust me,
Okay, I'll give it a try.
give it a try. And I'm
At
telling
some
you,
point.
you will not be able to stop watching. You and the hubby sit down and watch Lord of the Rings, and you will love it. It is unbelievable. It's the reason why won so many Academy Awards. It's that
They're
good.
really long movies, aren't they?
Yeah, but they don't feel long. They are really incredible.
The
I mean,
Hobbit felt long.
The Hobbit's different. That wasn't not even close to what the original Lord of the Rings trilogy that Peter Jackson did. Trust me on. I've never steered you wrong before,
Okay.
Kate, on books or anything. Trust me, you will love it.
Okay.
That
Okay.
movie kicks off right off from the start, and it slows down a little bit, but you need that because it introduces characters and stuff. But once that journey starts, I wonder if
Give it a try.
knowing Kate like we do, thing. I think Kate's gonna scream a couple times.
Oh yeah.
At what? Like what kind of scream? Like
Not
scared
just a couple
scream?
times.
Like
or,
phasmophobia kind of scream.
there's scary moments?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's the bad guys in there. So the original the bad guys. Tolkien wrote some.
Okay.
He came up with stuff, because Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings. We're getting on a tangent here, but yeah, well, just watch it. You'll love it.
Okay.
The baddies are very bad and they're very scary. Not for me, but I know how you are with like fright scares and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll
And please
you'll
record your
feel it.
reactions I would love to
Oh
see
my
it.
god, yeah,
God.
can you imagine?
Yeah. Kate Gaming reacts to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Can't be any
There we
worse
go,
than
Keith.
when I like one of the charity milestones was watching
I
the
know.
Hamilton. I didn't know what was going on like half the time. So they have some pretty great reactions of that. But okay,
So,
sidetracked.
okay, sidetrack. Let's finish it off with our rating. We usually do it out of, what do we say, 5 Ahsokas? What do we go with?
I think he said, was it
Or Meerkat
Ahsoka's or Choppers?
Choppers. But let's go with Ahsoka. I think this is. I'll let you pick.
There was not enough Chopper in this
No,
episode.
none of that's just not no.
I like saw something on Facebook and it was like Chopper's had less than 5 minutes of screen time and he's already committed like a war crime.
It's the droid that commits the most war crimes. And go back and count the number of death the stormtroopers he's murderized. You'll know why. We'll say Ahsoka this time. Out of 5 Ahsokas, what would you rate this episode, Kate?
I would say probably like a 4.5. It was really good in my book.
Yeah. Kate with a 4.5. Thane?
I would say 3.75.
That's low.
That's low. Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the middle stuff.
Bane's gonna be like
yeah, the
harsh critic of
fighting,
the
it's
season.
overrated. Why would you care? Yeah.
Yeah, 3.75. I would say.
Thane's always
Harsh.
lower than us. I think he just
No.
he doesn't
That
want to.
literally is Thane.
Yeah, I know, right? Because we know, Kate, he likes it more than he's saying, but he doesn't want to admit it because he wants to be cool. That's
He
what he's
never
doing.
wants to admit it. Yeah.
I'm going to go 4.75. That's what I rated the series so far. So there's some little nitpicky things for me so far that it's not going to give me a 5, but it's not perfect. But goddamn, is it close? This last episode, man, really just Christ Almighty. I had the feels going on in this episode. It's just the characters are so good. The fights have been so good. The story is phenomenal. And it's doing something I've been begging for so long. It's opening up the Star Wars universe, the Force, the world, the everything. We're not. It's so bloody good. There's purpose to this. Someone said last week's episode was filler. I'm like,
No.
What?
have you not
What?
watched Bad Batch or other shit? Let me tell you about filler. There's
Go
filler.
watch Bad Batch season 2 if you want filler.
Yeah, there's a lot of filler in that. When they go
Yeah.
do stuff that's not related to the main story arc, that's filler. Okay? When it's part of the story, the continuity of said story, that's not filler.
Unless
The
people
last
like
episode was the best one.
unless people aren't picking up like a lot of the stuff they're dropping in the episodes, like I can understand a lot of people missing a lot of references if they've never seen like
it,
Rebels,
for the casuals,
like
absolutely.
Clone Wars. If they've never seen a lot of this stuff, there's going to be a lot of references they're not going to understand and they're not going to get. But those are also the parts where when I'm watching, I'm like, oh my God, it's Ghost, it's Chopper. Like,
Yeah.
I freak out at that stuff.
Yeah, and I've been some friends of mine that are more casual Star Wars fans that I've been listening to. They really like the series, but some of it is over their heads. And I think next week they got to really, with Ahsoka and Anakin in the World Between Worlds, they got to explain what the World Between Worlds is, because unless you've seen Clone Wars or the part in Rebels,
you don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they've got their work cut out, but it's a very long episode next week, which I'm excited for. I like
it is? Is it longer than like a half
40,
hour?
46 minutes. Yeah, this one was like
good.
35 minutes with all the credits
They
taken
keep getting shorter. I'm like, come on.
What was I watching? I think it was Christian Harloff. He says he has a theory about this, is that they actually shot 6 one-hour episodes, but Disney came in afterwards to Lucas and said, we need 8. So we can, for marketing and stuff. And so they cut like this one in half and the first one in half. But, if you watch all this as one arc, right? It's why I hate episodic stuff, because I like to binge. Like right now I'm watching One Piece as well, and watching it congruently is so much different than when you watch one episode arc at a time. Not that it can't be done, right? But like Andor, kind of got the feel for it, but it was like jab, 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 haymaker, Jab, jab, jab. Hey,
Isn't this
Mary.
why we bought streaming services anyway?
Yeah,
To binge.
to binge, but they don't want you to binge. They want to get that money coming in, right? So I get
So
it.
we're reversing back to cable.
Yeah, basically cheaper.
And they're adding in ads now. So it's basically you have the bathroom break, go get your snack anyway.
Yeah, I don't mind paying a little bit more so I don't get ads. Ads bother me. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
But that is totally a side topic.
but yeah. So, but let us know in the comments what you guys think of the episode, whether you like it or not. I had some people today say, it didn't work for me. I'm like, oh, that's fine. It's okay. If you don't like Ahsoka, you don't like Ahsoka. But you know,
I think what really helps is we just have a connection to
we
like
do.
the
We're a
Phoenix
little,
Squadron.
yeah, we're a little biased.
So we're a little biased.
But we can also be objective. And if something sucks and I hate it, everybody knows me that knows me is like, I will call it out. Trust me. If I hate something, I hate. Like when I was doing the Bad Batch reviews, there was a couple episodes. I'm like, for the love of God, if I get one more filler episode, I'm going to lose my effing mind. You know,
Well, that was kind of like I started watching Andor, and like I think I just hadn't gotten to the good parts yet.
Yeah,
I'm still kind of like I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes in, but I just
gotta
haven't
let
had
it. Oh my God.
I haven't had
Okay.
time to like really sit down and watch it.
Yeah, once you watch Andor and just get through it, let it build. And I'm telling you, when it's like jab, 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 build up, then haymaker, you're like,
But it's like for me, I can understand that in the sense of like everybody's like, oh, it's so great. And I'm like 3 episodes in, and I'm like,
It is really good,
it'll yeah, just stick with it, Kate. There's going to be some
Yeah.
incredible Star Wars
And Endor
moments.
spoiled me.
God.
It's so good, so good.
Yeah, so we've had some letdowns. You know, Kenobi was like this for me. There were some ups
I
and
liked
downs.
Kenobi.
I like Kenobi too, but it wasn't that great for me. There was a lot of stuff I loved about Kenobi, and there's a lot of stuff, but we're not going to get to that right now. But it was the same thing with Book of Boba Fett. There was stuff in Book of Boba Fett I thought was amazing, and then there was stuff in Book of Boba Fett I'm like, why is this in here? You know,
Well, it's kind of like season 3 of The Mandalorian for me. We're kind of getting more into like it's passing the torch to Bo, but that's like a whole different.
Yeah, but that stuff worked for me. But it was like the filler shit they did and some other things. I'm just like,
We're totally sidetracked now.
I know, but that's what we do here. So let us know in the comments what you think. And feel free to, this will go on YouTube as soon as I get it done recording it. So hit the like button, subscribe if you like that content. Again, leave comments. It's always appreciated. So on behalf of myself, Kate and Thane, have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you next week for episode 5.
Can't wait.